Hello, everyone. Welcome to our York Ebor Festival preview. One of the best festivals, without a doubt, of the season, and probably I'd say the best race from within the UK of the year. The Juddmonte is consistently ranked as best race in the world, but it often doesn't really have the depth of an Arc or some of the Breeders' Club races. So, whilst it is stacked with quality, it doesn't quite have the depth, but still, it's always an absorbing race. Interesting, it's actually Dan and I first met on a train back from Juddmonte, Mishriff's Juddmonte. He was unfortunate to be sat across the table from me and a couple of my mates, and we were quickly boring him about stories of whatever goings on. And you tried to turn the conversation back to racing, and then realised that we had a very mutual interest in horse racing, which is funny when you meet on the train back from a race course. But yeah,
love you. I don't recall much of that conversation. It had been a long day at the races for
me. I remember you buying some more Heinekens on the way back, which was very welcome. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, it's an interesting edition, I think, of the Ebor this year. 2 months ago, this festival, and specifically the Juddmonte, looked like it was going to be absolutely tantalising, and then just over the last couple of months, the news flow is steadily being sort of horses being taken away rather than horses being added into the field. So it doesn't look as exciting as it probably did before. And there's going to be a theme of the day, really, is who is actually going to turn up, and how does that affect the each-way markets, and when it's going to be a good time to play. So the whole discussion is probably just going to be looking at the Group 1s, we'll chuck in the Voltigeur, and just talk through the shape of the market and if there is anything that we'd like to look off at certain prices. And we will begin with the Juddmonte. And at the minute, the betting is 13-8 Delacroix, 9-4 Ombudsman, probably the two highest class middle distance horses of the season, potentially anywhere in the world. We've got Danon Desil at 9-2, third favourite, See the Fire 8s, Dara's 14s. And then you're into a whole melee of horses that are highly unlikely to turn up. There's also Royal Champion, who actually isn't priced up at the minute from what I can see. But after his performance in the City of York Stakes, you have to think that he will be of interest. So first question to you, Daniel. How many runners do you expect there to be?
Less than 8 would be my answer, which is, of course, relevant for the people who want to play each way. Let's just look at the certains, barring injury or whatever. Delacroix, Ombudsman, Danon Desil from Japan, and See the Fire. Those are the horses that I know are going to, in inverted commas, are going to turn up. I'm pretty certain they're going to turn up. Dara's, we're waiting on a key workout. And now that news flow will come, from what I gather, on Thursday. Unfortunately, will they tell the world before the decks? The decks are Thursday, middle of the day. Is it in a morning gallop, and then make an announcement, and then we know before the 5-day stage, because he's 14-1 with William Hill and 888. 14-1. I don't think that would last if he was supplemented. He's unbeaten, 1-1-1-1. And although his last time out in France, what he beat was a Bay City Roller by a narrow margin, and other substandard horses in terms of this kind of Group 1 level. It was a very slowly run race, and he came right from the back. So, yeah, he'd be interesting. I think the Royal Champion, I have no idea. There's no news flow. After that beating of Almaquin, the noises we'll seriously think about it. I'm a little suspicious of that beating of Almaquin. Not that Royal Champion didn't run very well, but Almaquin, they would never run him if they'd known that ground, which is called GS, or good soft in places, I think, was actually good to firm, or that's how it's been rated retrospectively by Timeform. So this was not Almaquin's ground at all. Might be an interesting runner, but be a surprise winner for me. But yeah, so in a sense, if you want to play each way, you probably want to get him before. Sorry, you were going to say?
Well, I quite like Royal Champion in the sense that I still think he's quite unexposed since he's moved over to the UK. We made quite a lot of the Prince of Wales Stakes and how it was run, and he was certainly up with the pace for the whole duration of the race. And I think he probably still hasn't shown his best performance unless it was that time at York. And the course and distance, having that box ticked at York is incredibly helpful. And I would really quite like him if he was to turn up here.
Those who believe he will come and actually want to bet, because they like him and they think he'll come, and they have knowledge from the stable, which would be good. Last time I looked, I haven't done this today. He was 14-1, with a run with William Hill. That's the only place I know he's priced up at. But as I say, I've seen no news flow at all on this guy for quite a while.
No, if anyone does know, please let us know in the comments. We would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you could DM first before putting it public online, then that would help even more.
Absolutely. I'll just echo that, James. Sorry, I meant to sort of point out when you first came to me that this whole video is basically what we know and our thoughts, but there'll be things that you know, perhaps that we don't, and please chuck it in the comments. Really, really helpful. Get some debate there, and we might dig up some absolute nuggets. The one thing I'd want to see at this race, the one thing would completely put the cat among the pigeons, or a cat among pigeons to the race, is whether Ballador does something surprising by bringing in another big gun, by which I mean basically one of the fillies. There's no way it'd be Lamborn, and there's no way it'd be Mini Hawk, who has the Yorkshire Oaks are taking the next day. But Bedtime Story, or well, I think it's less likely. Bedtime Story, I mean, you're getting 3 figures on Oddschecker. Clearly the markets think there's no chance. I just wonder if they might do something surprising, but no knowledge that they would.
So at the minute, we're expecting the 4, potentially 5 runners if Darius is to go. Is that excluding pacemakers? Continuous, I see, is still entered.
Continuous Expanded are still in there.
Yeah.
I assumed, I think I put a tweet a while ago, last week, about likely fields, and I could only think of X runners plus pacemaker. And someone commented, one of our ex followers, which was a good point. Are you sure that Ballydoyle would run a pacemaker for Delacroix? Because after all, if it turns into a joke of a race and a sprint, he'll have no problem with that at all. Thinking back to the Eclipse, so it's another food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah, and it beggars belief that the Gostons wouldn't put in a pacemaker for Ombudsman.
They can't now, can they? They'd have to supplement something.
I know, and it's just how they left themselves in such a predicament already. De Gosden moaned about the mess of the race before the race, moaned about the mess of the race after the race. This is referencing the Eclipse, and now he's walking into the exact same situation again. So, yeah, Gosden, for all he is, probably one of my favourite trainers of all time.
There was one thing I think it was under Dottori, and I'm afraid the name of the horse who ran the Shadwell colours has gone from it. Sorry? Mostadaf. Yes. Did me a great favour at Ascot in the Prince of Wales. He surprisingly, they decided to just take it up and take the running and the whole way, and took the sting out of Paddington, don't they? It would be quite a shock. Again, Ombudsman never done that before, but I don't think Mostadaf had either, had he? So, yeah. Maybe that's something up there to do. One other point I'd make about the betting, by the way, is there's been a huge amount of money for the Japanese horse in the last week. Danon Desai, the conqueror of Calandacan in the Shima Classic and Japanese Derby winner. Really good horse, dropping in trip, slight question mark. But from the money and betting point of view, this will be a World Pool race, and I wonder how much World Pool money will come for this horse, representing Japan, and he's a real good one, obviously, so he's got credentials as well as just being a patriotic player. So, I can't quite see how the betting for this will go, but I'd be pretty surprised if the front two of the market got any shorter, particularly if Darius and Royal Champion turn up. They've got to lengthen, surely, haven't they?
Yeah. I think it would have to be See the Fire that would give way in the betting. I don't know if 8-1 will necessarily last about her. The issue is going to come when it goes down to 2 places, and then everything gets a little less attractive. But so, is there anything at the minute with 3 places available that you'd be interested in playing?
No, we put up See the Fire 3 places at a bigger price than this, but still 8. I mean, and the case just being that if there are horses for courses, this is a mare you just have to open your eyes to at York, to remarkable performances. Last time in particular was just sensational. Now she's in deeper, almost as deep as she's ever been, really, here. But back to York, I did quite like that angle, and she won't be 3 places, I'm sure, come Thursday lunchtime.
Yeah. If she wins, we'll be calling the phrase "horses' parents" for horses, for courses, given her mum.
Arabian Queen. Do you remember that?
It was the year before I got into racing. So no, obviously very familiar with it now, but no. Were you there? I
wasn't there. I did watch it. The ground was a bit funny that day. It wouldn't have happened on good firm ground. Golden Horn was top draw. Won the Arc, then Derby, Arc.
Yeah, he looked a
Anyway.
horse. Okay, well, yeah, that is a bit of a mention for everything. As mentioned, Anmat is next to the betting at 16s. Haven't touched on him. Don't think he's going to go. White Birch was in there at 40s or so. Suspect he's not going to go. Naran at 100s. Any chance he turns up?
My news flows that Naran is going to run in France this weekend as part of the Shetland Marois card, or maybe on the Saturday before. I'm not sure. That's the last I read in Paris Turf. So yeah, would be a surprise. Oh, just quickly on Anmat. Sorry, last thing. Anmat and White Birch. I'm not even sure that White Birch is being trained for this and hope that there will be rain. I think they're kind of resting him until the autumn. But Anmat, last I read, is being trained for this race by Owen Burrows. It's just they don't think they'll run with F in the going, and you've got to think there probably will be F in the going as the extraordinary summer of 25 continues.
Yeah. It is certainly warm today. Okay, that's the Juddmonte International covered. Intriguing from both a market, a field shape, and also obviously an actual race perspective. So very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out over the next week and a half. We'll move on to the Yorkshire Oaks. So if you felt disgruntled about the Juddmonte producing a small field, you'll be completely you'll be furious about how the Yorkshire Oaks is going to look. It could really be count it on one finger, let alone count it on one hand. It
could be a walkover. Only one horse could be entered at this rate.
Do you want to take us through why, Daniel?
Well, I mean, in a sense, the real why is I don't know why there aren't more still in it to take on a horse who I don't personally think is as good as, well, many other people do. We'll come back to Mini Hawk in a moment, but the betting is we got Mini Hawk. What is she best? 1 to 2. Now, it's strange, exciting horse, and perhaps the pace of the race wasn't quite the way she wanted in the Lancashire Oaks last time. We don't know how good a scene it was because she's been retired. But the problem there is David Amara's warned twice now about doesn't want fast ground. So I think she's a really unlikely runner. If you knew she was going to run and they weren't worried about the ground, I mean, obviously 9 to 2 best with Paddy Pascal is an amazing each way for a race that's going to have a handful of runners. But I don't think she's going to run, or she's got a big, huge doubt. And Whirl is next to the betting at 8s. Very unlikely, you would have thought. Not impossible, but they'll run it again. But why would they? To not just give Mini Hawk a clear run at things. Aventure 12 to 1. If Aventure were coming over, that should be 5 to 2 tops in my book. I would pile in with everything I had. Sorry, it was gamble responsibly. Please don't take that statement literally. But the last I heard, news from the stable, she's unlikely to come over to the Oaks. Now, that was 2-3 weeks ago. I've heard nothing, and I cannot find any news. If anyone knows anything about Aventure, please let us know. Garden of Eden kind of flopped, but it was soft ground out in wherever in Germany that Group 1 she ran in 10 days ago. I'm going to say Munich. Back on fast ground. She'd be interesting if they did a second string. But again, only the lads know whether she's going to go. Killing Queen is the one that interests me, and 14 to 1 because I think she's really good, and I think she's very good in whichever trial for the Oaks on fast ground. She was good last time in France, beating up very highly regarded filly and Sunley. Flopped in the Epsom Oaks, but that was considered ground not fast enough. So she's my idea of an absolutely brilliant each way play, apart from confirmation that she's going. Called Walker's Yard this morning and tried to sweet talk his assistant trainer George, but George was having none of it and was non-committal. So again, I'm waiting. But Killing Queen, the trouble is if it gets to 5 days stage and they confirm she's going to go, I think all bookies will be doing 2 places as this field sort of falls down to everyone knowing that it's going to be a short field. Beyond that, Sunley 14s is on the sick list. Wardar, they don't want fast ground. They're prioritising the champion of filly and mares. Really good last. I think it was the Lily Langtry at Goodwood. You got to mid-20s. Well, on her last season's form, she'd be screaming to be back, but we don't know where this filly is. She's lost her way. She's beautiful in the Coronation Cup, hasn't been seen since. And then, yeah, Bedtime Story would be another wild one. January would be the even wilder one. And then you've got Tasmania, who's not good enough at 33. So, yeah, sorry, it's a bit of a ramble, that, but it's look out for the news flow on Quilling Queen would be my take. And if you think she's going to run, we get the thumbs up. I think that's a great each way. I will confess to having played her highly speculatively, even after my failed call this morning, because she's absolutely slam dunk to be placed in my book. So I'm taking a chance when she runs, but that's high risk.
Yeah. Have you ever had three-way places being paid on a free runner race?
I'm going to confess that I was confidently on Japan for, I'm going to say, one of the King Georges.
Oh, yeah, enables last King George.
So confident that I was Japan was going to come back to his best and run a really good race. That anyway, I was quite invested. But each way, anyway, it cut up, and it turned out only 3 runners. He came last. But I got paid out.
Yeah.
How about that?
Or even what Stockton was his pacemaker that day. Even he beat Japan.
Yeah,
a funny old horse, Japan. And can you think of any horses that would possibly be supplemented for this?
Yeah, no, not off the top of my head.
No.
Something from France, maybe. But that's a really good point, because you think a lot of trainers were looking at this and thinking, "Hang on, who's actually going to run here?" Good point. Good point.
Unfortunately, none of us have an answer to that. But it's again a market to follow, and as soon as you hear any news about something that's a confirmed entry, if you're getting 3 places each way right now, it would probably be foolish to not take advantage of that. It's looking very ropey for the Yorkshire Oaks.
By the way, am I right in saying that this will be Mini Hawk's first run on fast ground?
I'm going to say
with F in the going. Mind you, if it is F in the going, the July Cup was supposed to be good to firm, but now we know it was good to soft because of overwatering. Goodness knows what the Clarks will do. I'm not familiar with the Clark on York and overwatering, but anyway, let's hope they don't overwater, because that's something that does my head on just normal fast racing ground, summer ground. It's fine to leave F in the going, just don't overdo it.
Yeah, it was good at Chester and then at the Curragh for her Irish Oaks win. But yeah, definitely no good to firm scene anyway. Cool. Moving on, quite briefly from the Yorkshire Oak, given there is not much to talk about besides who's not running, onto a race where we are struggling to find anyone in the market who will not be turning up. That is the Coolmore Nunthorpe Stakes over 5 furlongs on the Friday. But even still, it's probably as a result of having so many horses entered, it's a market which isn't particularly attractive right now, because we're only getting 3 places and it's going to be a 20 runner field or so. Obviously, you've also got the draw to come, which is very important in 5 furlong sprints, and you've also got 3 potential supplementees. So who is looking like being supplemented is a first question.
I'll just preface that by coming back to you saying, yeah, I strongly agree with you about this market being pretty unattractive for betting propositions. In terms of horses who are not likely to run, looking through this list, I only personally know of 2 who are incredibly unlikely to run. Through Love, of course, who there was talk about being supplemented. They're never. Ballydoyle never said that. Anyway, she ran at the weekend and got turned over at odds on. There's no way she's going to turn up here, surely. And the other one I believe is not going to turn up is Time for Sandals. I think they want to go back up to 6 with her, and they're going to prioritise the Sprint Cup at Haydock and pass this race. That was the last I heard. Otherwise, yeah, you've got 29 horses or something still in, and 3 supplementees. Yeah, they're all fillies, aren't they? Lady Iman, over from Ireland, Joe Lyons, Spicy Mark, who flopped at Ascot but ran very well with very fast times each side of that at Newmarket. It's quite interesting at 20s. And Miss Attitude, who won a listed race on Maurice Dickey's Day just yesterday. They think they're going to turn her out quickly again. So that'll be 3 supplements. But with 3 supplementees and this huge field, I just don't think any of the prices at the the sort of short end of the market represent any value. I don't believe Lady and Man will be any shorter than 4-1 come the day. Ditto Arizona Blaze, good horse, good chance, but 6s already. As for if you like her to bounce back to form, excuses for the soft ground last time.
But she was only 6-4 for this race last year.
Yes, exactly. But then she's been shorter. She's been 4-1, I think, second favourite for both sprints this time, and disappointed in different ways in both. Though the trainer having said she was only 85% fit, you eye roll, and the ground. You could give her a double excuse there. I get that. I think I would only play on Astor makes some sort of sense. Sarah, I can't even pronounce this. Let's try this again. Sayeda Darian got lots of people excited, including Keith Norrose, the betting against the Racing Post, who said he reckoned she was screaming out to be back for the Nunthorpe. But I think he was then into 25-33 to 1 territory. She's been back steadily into 8s. Super short, and the finish being that form doesn't look quite so good now. Magira didn't do it in Ireland, but people won't have forgotten how good she was. She's a line of blue at 10s, but there is just 12s with Bet365. How much shorter can these get? I think the one that sticks out to me, the price, but I'm not really going to back it now. I have a little on Betfair, where it's even bigger, is Frost at Dawn, who ran very well in the King George, but it's absolutely clearly fast ground filly. And they don't know the water. She's going to get her ground, so she interests me. And as you know, I was quite keen on Celandine. We mentioned that on a tweet yesterday or this morning, but that 66 has become 33, so it doesn't appeal so much now. It's a waiting brief for me.
Quick question, Celandine. So the form, you're concerned about the Sayeda Darian form, but then positive word for Celandine, who's tied in with her form at York.
True. Well, that's well picked up on. Yeah, good point. Well, firstly, Celandine is that was her seasonal return, and it was for the first and second, and the other thing is 66-1 versus 8-1 is a gulf in price differential. So Celandine, second time out. I know this filly really excites this yard. They think she's really, really good. They thought about chucking her on the July Cup for her first run, which would have been a step too far. But yeah, back to the scene of her Lowther win. I'm not saying she represents value at 33 now, and as an each way, well, why would you? Because you can get probably 5 places on the day. So probably no, but one to look out for. Yeah,
and the trip dropping back down to 5 furlongs, is that a concern at all, or do you think that will help?
No, I think if anything that might help. They think she's got bags of pace, this filly, and in Ed Walker we trust. Apart from a certain track, Goodwood, where he never wins, but York's not one of those.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry for interrupting. You can carry on.
No, well, good. I pretty much finished there, and then you're out to sort of the big prices. I'm not going to go through 10 or 15 horses, but Matt Brocklebank, Sporting Life, flagged up the likes of West Acre, who's available at 50s to bounce back to form. He's looking for something left field, in a season where so many big sprints have been won by big prices.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Breeders' Cup winner Magnum Force 66s. Don't know if he'll run. No, so nothing specific, just a market packed with 32 odd by the time you add the supplements, potential runners, and a vast field. And I don't think they're playing at 200%, 100% over round now. I just don't think there's value. There's no value.
No. It's very difficult. 3 places each way in a 29 runner field at 200% over round to find out.
Exactly. Just on that, on over round, it was perfectly fine for a market to be 200% or 250% over round when a whole load of them aren't going to be running. So, for example, the Yorkshire Oaks, I'm sure the Oaks are crazy over round, but that's okay because most of them just simply aren't going to be there. With this lot, as I said, other than True Love and Time for Sandals, both of which surprised me if they weren't. It wouldn't surprise me if all of these wanted to run. So presumably they have to. Do they limit the field to a certain size? Is it 20? I don't actually know it, but they may have.
No, do I? Yeah, but even so, they're not taking up big chunks of the market, are they? So, yeah, it's very, very poorly made book for the punters, and for that reason, we will move on to actually one of the Group 2s, which is one of the more interesting races at this stage to talk about, and that's the Great Voltigeur. Classic sort of ledger trial. Aidan O'Brien sends some of his best Ledger horses here historically. Kew Gardens won. Capri was going to go, but then he was injured, and he is this time sending the 2-time Derby winner Lambourne. So will we get to see a showdown between Merchant and Lambourne? Is Amelot going to turn up? And is there anything that you're interested in the market right now?
It's another race a bit like the Yorkshire Oaks. I'm itching to play it. I just can't get that confirmation that certain horses, I want to know if they're going or not before pulling the trigger. Because again, I think this could cut up to a very small field. By the way, did I just hear you say, talking about Aidan O'Brien sending his top horse, and you mentioned the name Capri in that list?
He went on to win the Ledger. Yeah, he uses this as a...
I see. As a Ledger. Okay.
Idaho, Capri.
That's right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Be let off. So itching to take on Lambourne, because I don't think Lambourne's very good. Which sounds a crazy thing to say about, you'd think, about a dual Derby, Epsom Curragh double. Horses that do the double, they tend to be very good. But on the ratings, this guy only has a pound or two ahead of the likes of Merchant and Amelot, according to the boys on the Racing Post on RPRs. And time form, fine, they have him £5 clear of Merchant and Amelot, but both of those two have the P, meaning substantial improvement still possible with this horse, whereas, as we know, Lambourne regressed last time on the ratings anyway. So itching to take it on. Merchant is it a 50-50? I don't know. They've said the Arc is still the plan if he wins or does really well in his next race, but it looks 50-50 between this and the Prix Niel, which is the ARC trial for the 3-year-old colts, 3-4 weeks before ARC Day. And I don't know which way Hagos will go. Now, he's a Yorkshireman, and he trains in Newmarket. He's a Yorkshireman, isn't he? And he likes this meeting. So, but equally, I don't think his Shire preferences are going to be what makes this decision to where the Merchant goes or not. So I don't know. Maybe if you were doing the ARC thing, you'd think, well, maybe why not go to France, for a sight around Longchamp, except that that might be a sort of falsely run race, and he's probably a proper stayer. So would this be more? Who knows? Amelot, you get 6-1 with William Hill, 5-1 elsewhere. Straight in with a chunky each way if I knew this guy was going, but it took him longer to get over Royal Ascot than they thought, so they missed the King George. And we'll bring him here if he's sending the right signs or something like that was the news flow about 10 days ago. So I don't know. When they say green light for Amelot to go, I imagine that'll be the cue for all sorts of people to plunge in, and how long those prices will last, I don't know. And each way price will last, I don't know. Scandinavia has got to be considered very unlikely, hasn't he? Wouldn't you have thought?
Despite having rattled through the list of Aidan O'Brien future Ledger winners, and this horse looking likely to be one, it would feel bizarre to step down half a mile in trip. And so then you're into 3 really worth mentioning there before you get to the rags are Wimbledon Hawkeye, who we had a little chat before we went on air, and you did an eye roll for me when I mentioned Wimbledon Hawkeye, which is a horse I didn't like at all for the Gordon at the Gordon Stakes at Glenwood. He ran an absolute blinder. If you've got Merchant at 7-4, these guys they were separated by a nose or something. Now, maybe the extra cut in the ground was what made the difference there. But then I look back at Wimbledon Hawkeye's previous run, 2 lengths beaten by El Cordobés in, I'm going to say the Princess of Wales at the July meeting. That horse has just come and won a Group 1 in the States. Okay, not a serious Group 1 by the standards of Group 1s in midsummer here, but still, maybe Wimbledon Hawkeye's putting it all together. 12-1. Again, I would back this horse each way if I knew that was the plan. I'll give James Soames or office a call tomorrow morning and perhaps put something up on Twitter if I get a response. Karma's was put up by Pricewise for the Ledger at a sort of 14.61 price. Paddy Toomey has said he may come here, he may not. So that doesn't help you with Karma's. And then you're into Stay True. No one's seen Stay True for 100 days or something. Mount Kilimanjaro not good enough. Pride of Arras, 16-1. This, presumably, many of our viewers will give eye rolls to this one after his Derby and Irish Derby. But I'm sure that the Dante form looks pretty ropey. But he did that so well, and he wasn't keen there, but he was keen at Epsom. He was keen at the Curragh, and they've now snipped this fella. And if
it makes a difference. Although it might not. I think somebody got quoted as saying that the trainer Beckett says this chap has lots of issues, not just the keenness. How many snipping? How many issues you can get rid of? I don't know, but 16's way to bounce
no more than 2.
Yeah, way to bounce back to his best. 16's, of course, would in the rearview mirror look like a crazy price, wouldn't it? Otherwise, no, nothing beyond that. Rahib disappointed at Goodwood, quite badly actually. And Bay City Roller, who I think is a good horse, but I think needs soft ground, and I won't touch him until the ground softens. So yeah, looking at this market with interest. Can't play yet till I get some concrete info.
Yeah, the main takeaway will be definitely looking to take on Lambourne, who has the penalty and has the ceiling on his ability by the looks of things. Okay, we didn't talk about this before we called, but would you like to run through the City of York as well?
Good grief, you're absolutely right. When I sent you the list, I had a brain fade, didn't I? And that's mainly because I'm thinking Group 1s, and having seen dozens of Ebor meetings come and go, I've never seen a 7 furlong that's a Group 1 at there before, but it is this year. Absolutely. Another slightly chaotic market, in that it's headed by a horse we think might not go there.
Yeah, we think it's pretty unlikely to go there.
Well, it was Brazilian. I mean, when they said probably the Marrois, that kind of killed this dream, didn't it? They still had him as favourite. He's obviously not going to do both. And with the ground set fair in Normandy, I can't see why he won't carry through that. So theoretically, that brings in Never So Brave, quite exciting, rapidly improving horse. Baldwin, great winner of that Royal Ascot Handicap, Buckingham Palace, whichever it was, then won that Group 2 mile. This horse is progressing, but this is a step into stakes company, so 5-1 for Never So Brave. Notable Speech was all set to come here until suddenly Appleby moved to the possibility of going to the Marrois this weekend. So we won't find out for a couple of days which way that one's going. So in terms of certain to come here, it's Never So Brave 5-1, and Maranoa Charlie, who I played a while back, he's now into 6s, but Maranoa Charlie, good horse. Didn't quite get there in the Prix-Jean Prat, but the winner of that, Woodshauner, ran really well in the Maurice de Geest, pretty much caught Lazat for second. They were together at the 9. So Marano Charlie should bowl along in front and really give his running. Lazat won't run. Kinross, we put up at 16 as saying it's just too big. Still haven't heard anything from the stable about Kinross since they took him out of the Hungerford. Do I mean the Hungerford? Yes, took him out of the Hungerford he wasn't in at the 5-day stage. But you would have liked to hear some news flow about this guy since he got kicked in the, and wounded by audience in the preliminaries to the Lennox or whatever it was.
Maybe going to be ground concerns as well. If it is too good to firm, they might be less inclined to run him if he's not quite 100%.
Which leads then we're into Lake Forest, who would be interesting if you knew he was going in. He's still, I think, in the running. We'll find out more for the Marrois, isn't he, over a mile? I haven't heard anything to the effect he's definitely coming here, but he looked possibly the best horse in the Lennox Stakes. The way that race panned out. Shadow Light might have been rerouted here, having been taken out of the Maurice de Geest, but the same reasons will apply unless there's crazy watering. It'll be firm ground, so probably not. Whistle Jacket, good grief, no. How could anyone back this horse in a Group 1? Quinote, good old Quinote, 20-1. He will go, and I believe I'm right in saying, like Kinross, I think he might be unbeaten at York, or he's either unbeaten or he runs very well at York.
He fairly bolted up last time, beating Lake Forest quite considerably. Besides that, it wasn't his strongest Group 3, but yeah, he ran very well here on the front end.
Maybe it's Kinross who's unbeaten at York. So yeah, don't take the gospel, but got good York form, and he keeps on outperforming. Well, he keeps on outperforming what I think he's going to the level I think he's going to run at. So I'm getting this horse wrong. He keeps on improving. So yeah, that's another one. The only question there is him and Maranoa Charlie both both front running types. Will this then set up a race for the closers? It'd be nice to go if Diego was going, but goodness knows where this horse is at now. Audience is a rogue, but 20-1 is large for a horse who ran 2 superb races in his last 6 or 7, but they're increasingly getting further in the rearview mirror. Was only good enough for 3rd, I think. We suspect he just likes to be on his own out front, don't we, audience? And that's when the
likes a very specific set of circumstances, clearly.
With Quinote and Marino Charlie, I don't think it's going to happen. But 20s is huge for Group 1 winner who won the Group 2 Lennox with a £5 penalty. It does look quite large. More Thunder, we just put up for Hungerford at 5-1 this weekend, so he won't run 20s. Jonquil, bitterly disappointing in the Lennox 25s, and then I can't see much below that, apart from unless they were to run Cosmic Year here. 33s. He was very, very unlucky in running at Goodwood, and who knows, he would probably have won that race. He might have won by multiple lengths. He could not get out. How you manage that in a four-horse race, I don't know, but that's the kind of thing that happens at Goodwood. So another market in chaos, but the favourite are almost certain to drop out, and a number of others too. So interesting. In terms of decks for these races, 5-day decks will get the Juddmonte Thursday lunchtime. We'll get the Yorkshire Oaks Friday lunchtime. Saturday we'll get the Nunthorpe, and then on Monday we'll get the City of York. So that's your timings. Any final thoughts, James?
No, none. I suppose just looking at the City of York Stakes, would be interested in either of the 3-year-olds, Juddmonte horses, Cosmic Year, or Jonquil. I think Jonquil must have gone off about.
You're going to give Jonquil another chance?
I would give him another chance. Yeah, I'd give any horse that ran in that race in the Lennox another chance. It was very peculiar.
Yeah, okay. I might forgive a horse 1 bad run, but when they put down together 2 bad runs, wasn't he? Or am I having another senile moment? Wasn't he out with the washing in the Commonwealth Cup?
I wouldn't go as far as say he was out with the washing, but he certainly didn't run well.
Okay, what is the definition of out with the washing? Not in the first 10. How about that? Maybe he was in the first 10.
Yeah, I thought I remember one of the
a bad one.
Racing Post guys talk about being out with the washing quite a silly line because they're all just lined up one after the other. Whereas when you describe a horse as being out with the washing, you tend to be strewn across. But that's by the by. Other than that, no. It's a disappointing festival from an AntePost betting perspective, and I think it's probably always been that way. The Juddmonte market forms quite a long way out, and sometimes you have a good idea of what's going, but normally because they're such high-class horses, the market's onto them quite quickly, and there's never really much juice. But it always ends up being one of the best meets on the day. It's fantastic handicaps, fantastic prize money, attracts the best horses. It's a fantastic festival.
Yeah, very much so. Just thinking about not being such good markets for the AntePost punter. I mean, if there was one a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, staring us in the face, of course, it was the victor over Calandagale in the Shima Classic, who was still sort of double the price. And well, actually, here we go. So a week ago, I saw Paddy Power and Skybet, the Flutter pair, push him out to 16s. And rather than thinking this is a price for the ages, I must get on, I thought, oh right, they obviously know he's not coming on. He's tweaked something in quarantine or whatever. I just thought, well, why would they do that unless they knew something? But I was wrong, and then suddenly that 12s and 10s, 8s, and suddenly we're at 9-2. Anyway, one that got away.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And as I said, we have left plenty of gaps. So if you have any knowledge, please fill them for us. That would be very helpful. And we will be probably looking at some of these races in more detail once the 5-day decks are in and once we've got a firmer grip on who's going to be running. And we look forward to talking to you then. So thanks for sticking with us this far, and we'll see you in the next one.
All good. Bye, everyone.